Hello and welcome to Upwards Acceleration Part 2. This is the first in a series of short follow-up videos, in which I will show some physical demonstrations of the principles covered in the original Upwards Acceleration presentation. Part 2 will cover freefall. As previously stated, we have always believed that dropped items accelerate down to the ground. This is what we are taught, and this is what our eyes tell us that we see. We never question this. We just assume it to be fact. One of the core fundamental principles about our physical reality is that the greater the mass of an object, the harder it is to accelerate that object. This is because there is an inertial resistance to acceleration. The resistance is proportional to mass. The greater the mass of the object, the greater the resistance to acceleration will be. Accelerometers work because of this fundamental principle. Even the smallest acceleration or deceleration can be easily and accurately detected and measured with an accelerometer. Even a simple plastic bottle half filled with water will displace and detect acceleration or deceleration 100% of the time. If we take this bottle of water, that every time the bottle is accelerated in one direction, the water will displace to the opposite side. This displacement will always happen under acceleration, and in any direction. As I accelerate the bottle downwards, the water displaces to the top. When we drop the bottle of water, if it were truly accelerating downwards, then the water should displace and move to the top of the bottle. But the water does not displace at all. This confirms that the bottle is not accelerating. The only way that the bottle can appear to us to be accelerating downwards, but not actually be accelerating itself, is if the reference frame with us included is accelerating upwards. When we place the accelerometer on the ground, it reads an upwards acceleration of 9.8 meters per second squared. The accelerometer can be set to subtract the 9.8 meters per second squared to isolate just the movements of the accelerometer. But the raw unedited data from the accelerometer shows the ground is accelerating upwards at a constant 9.8 meters per second squared. If we now take the accelerometer and drop it into freefall, the accelerometer goes from an upwards acceleration of 9.8 meters per second squared whilst being held and instantly drops to zero acceleration the moment it is released. There is no acceleration in freefall. There are only two scenarios when the accelerometer will read zero. One is when the accelerometer is completely stationary, which obviously cannot apply in this case. The other is when it is traveling at a constant velocity in a perfectly straight line. There are no exceptions to this, and so it must be the second option. The only logical explanation is that when the accelerometer is dropped, the accelerating force is removed, and it goes from accelerating upwards to simply traveling upwards at a constant velocity. This would explain its behavior perfectly and comply with the laws of motion. Neither gravity nor electrostatics can be responsible for the effects we see when an item is dropped, because both these theories by necessity require downwards acceleration. If you want to insist that an item is completely stationary, then it instantly accelerates at 9.8 meters per second squared the moment it is dropped. Then you need to explain how this can happen. You need to explain the instant acceleration, and you need to explain how everything instantly accelerates at the exact same rate regardless of its size or mass. There can be no such thing as uniform downward acceleration in freefall, because acceleration is always proportional to mass. If a magical force could uniformly pull any mass at the exact same rate, then everything regardless of mass would also weigh the exact same. It is nonsense. Mass is a factor in all accelerations, and things always weigh proportionally to their mass. There is no way around this. Items in freefall do not accelerate, and the only possible explanation is the ground accelerates up. Upwards acceleration does not give you all the answers for what is outside of our reality. Here inside the reality there are only two options. The ground accelerates up, or dropped objects accelerate down. If we assume the ground is accelerating up, then all the effects of gravity are explained and work perfectly. Everything moves exactly as the laws of motion predict they should. Everything we can test and measure is telling us that the ground is accelerating upwards. It's all testable and verifiable, as I am demonstrating in these videos. Any alternative theory needs uniform downwards acceleration. Downwards acceleration requires magical, theoretical, unproven forces that work by their own magical laws of motion. Nobody knows what this magic is or how it works. Look at this image. Let us imagine for a moment that we are detectives investigating this crime scene. Why would you ever look at this scene and come to the conclusion that a magic unicorn did it, not the dog? Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next part in the series.